Hello and welcome to episode 2 of Digital Suffering, the podcast where we do the suffering so you don't have to. Well, you can still do your suffering, I'm not here to stop you. I am one of your co-hosts, my name is Steven Something, and we have our other co-host,
PhamtomLimb.
PhamtomLimb. Today we're going to start off with a game that's showed up briefly on our radars, called Control. Produced by Remedy, the ones who brought us Max Payne. Is it Alan Wake as well? They did Alan Wake, I believe.
Not sure.
You're no help at all. Anyway, Max Payne. And I think there was something else. We should really do our research. So this game is third-person action, shooty bits. It's kind of like Max Payne with superpowers. Remember there was a game... there was one, what was it called? You control Fear. Do you remember Fear?
I do remember Fear. I played that quite a bit.
Obviously, that was the first.
I played the original and the second one.
The first-person shooter. But it reminds me of... the main character didn't have psychic powers?
Nope.
No. But it's got that theme where it's called where the character suddenly comes into an environment where supernatural or psychic...
Slight horror elements.
Yeah, horror. Yes. It was called... You have all these things happening and the character has to survive. Here we've got a very smoking man X-Files moments there.
So we're watching a bit of gameplay that's currently online, which is bizarre. And we'll try and put up as much footage of the game as we can, but essentially it started in what looked like a police station or an office type situation, but there was people hanging motionless in midair.
I think it's more that she's actually gone into whatever this research facility or building is, and
right.
That's our story, and then they have to work out what the heck is going on.
That was a bit like Ulysses 31,
the old
cartoon where the crew are just hanging in stasis forever because
it would cost too much to pay all those voice actors.
What?
Smoke monsters, very much like Breach. R.I.P. Breach. I wanted to like that game, but it just had flaws, and then it never got out of the beta stage. So anyway, So
I love the painterly. It almost seems painted. It almost seems.
It does have a very a sort of like
a refined version of Dishonored in terms of graphics.
Yeah, a sort of a filter to it to give it this a sort of cinematic aesthetic. If they made this into a movie, I'd watch the hell out of it, that's for sure. Sort of crammed all into one.
The thing about these games, which is... There's an old game called Event Rising that came out on the original Xbox.
I remember that game.
And it got slated to hell, and it too had telekinetic abilities, and it was a third-person action game. A little bit... It was more... I think it sort of aped storylines from games like Mass Effect and Halo, but it had a similar, having not played either, feel.
Of course, looking at the telekinetic, it's very much like some of the Star Wars third-person games, whereby your character has force powers and you can just pick up nearby objects and throw them. It's like... not something that's undesirable. Obviously, people love to throw things. I wonder if you can also use the power on enemies as well, because then you'll totally do like in Star Wars where you dangle people over drops and go, let them go. Bring out the sadist. It is curious about this whole... Obviously, we don't know about this about the story much, but you got the people frozen in midair, and it's like, what has happened here? But the thing is, it's like, well, if someone is holding them there, they've got to be concentrating a hell of a lot to be holding a building full of people in stasis. Who knows? I wonder if you can shoot the people in midair. Would that be a bad thing if they're supposed to fix the problem? You're just shooting random employees.
The character, female character lead that you seem to be playing here, seems like she can use the smaller objects within the rooms as weapons, projectiles and whatnot, and shields.
Mm.
But also, then she has a gun that seems to have a few different forms.
Yeah, the
in
gun.
terms of gun, like it changes and it shoots different.
She could reconfigure. The gun was like shown to be reconfigurable, which is a way of managing the magic infinite inventory, whereby you pull a rifle out of your back pockets.
The old flamethrower, grenade launcher, machine
BFG.
gun.
Just like whatever you got plenty of room in your jeans for that sort of stuff.
I never had a problem with that.
Well, no, obviously you got to manage, thing. In some games, like I think Halo, you'd strap the gun to your back, so you're not pulling it up anywhere. You can only carry 2 guns because that's how many arms you have, and that's fine. But then you can say, well, okay, she's got a pistol that can configure, and then but where are all the different bullets coming from instead? You just push the problem like further down the line. But yeah, it looks, in terms of aesthetics and stuff, it looks absolutely fantastic.
I love the mood. Very dark, very
the whole look. Plus the survival horror, scenes. It calls to mind a lot of games. So due out in August. Looks to be like very close to ready. Hopefully we can get our hands on a review copy. Hint Remedy. We'll give you like all the thumbs up you need, man.
We'll be impartial.
Final Fantasy VII. I thought I'd just bring this up, even though my colleague here is reticent to talk about it. The Final Fantasy VII.
No, I'm happy to talk about a 22-year-old game. It's fine.
Final Fantasy VII remake. So it's. I don't know how much they're going to be changing the prospect. You mentioned that they're going to be doing episodic content, which
allegedly so.
If they do it to add to the game, like Final Fantasy XV, the episodes were additions to the main story. They did, went in depth with character, so that would be fine. But if they just take the main story and break it up and say, right, disc 1 is now episode 1, disc 2 is now episode 2.
Maybe they're no. I think it's going to be even more. It's going to be even more finite than that.
More insidious.
It's going to be, the first 3 things you did in the game is going to be episode 1, and then in a month they're going to release episode 2. But I think it's going to be. You see what they might do, instead of doing massive content blocks and charging you, let's say, £20 a go.
They'll do tiny content blocks and charge you £20 a go.
Well, not 20, but maybe like 10 or 12 or something like that. And so you end up buying £100 worth of game
that's 22 years old.
Yeah. Well, we say 22 years old, but it isn't being released today. Probably not this year. Probably never.
No, it will be released. Just they'll do it. By the time it does, it will be an 8K rendition, and the characters will look 100% realistic, and it will be released in 5-minute episodes.
And you'll be like, oh, I remember this game. It's just like Final Fantasy 15, which was 5 Final Fantasy games ago.
And now they've updated with Final Fantasy 36's graphic engine, which is like totally cool.
Yeah, there was something you mentioned about this earlier. The graphical fidelity has gone so far, it actually looks better than Advent Children, which was the Final Fantasy VII movie, which almost looks like a fan-made movie now.
Yeah, you watch it, the plastic people, it was just... it was bearable. It was not a good movie, but it was thing. But
it was so Japanese. It was like the awkward character dialogue, just a random... I'm flying, jumping, fighting. Not
well.
Quite.
It was not based on a fight. It was just a generic storyline. That they just. It could be.
It was like they knew each other but didn't know each other, and then they had to face off.
If you change the title from Final Fantasy VII Children to Marines in Space fighting, anonymous aliens that are transdimensional. It's like,
oh, I've played that game. It's called Halo.
Yeah, that's what it is. It was just generic as heck. So it's unfortunate, and you don't get a sense of like you care about the characters. But yes, the graphical fidelity. I showed my sister the the difference between like Eris, the new one, and I said, "Oh, this is what the character looks like before," and she was like, "What the heck?" So, it's a kind of thing. Well, are they going to improve the gameplay much? Is it going to be like that they take Final Fantasy VII and outfit it in like the Final Fantasy XV engine and add more things to the gameplay, or is it just a beat for beat remake, just in high definition? And at least, are they going to allow the summons to be skippable? Because no one wants to sit through Knights of the Round animation.
What? It gave you a chance to have a break.
I'm just going to eat lunch. Right, spam Knights of the Round, go off, eat lunch, come back. Oh, it's not finished yet.
I have to say, if memory serves from 20 plus years ago, the Odin summon, where he came, I think it went up to the moon and then it was like a little shine, and then he rode down from the sky on a 6-legged horse and sort of in the sort of epic fashion of running past the enemy and slashing them with a giant spear.
Yeah.
Cool as heck, but seriously.
Yeah.
Who's got 5 minutes to waste on that?
I think Knights of the Round
18 times a day.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it's just it's like a full-time job.
Just watching the cutscene for the summon.
So hopefully there's some quality of life. I don't think I haven't played almost any Final Fantasy game. I played 14 briefly, see what it was like. Got up to about level 5, and I was like, the controls are awful. I didn't have a gamepad. I got a gamepad afterwards, but I couldn't really get back into it after that.
I have to say that weirdly, there is a spin-off of 7 on the PSP, and it used that combat system which they're now using in 15.
Okay.
Very similar to that in 15, and what it looks like would be in the remake of 7. But it's seriously, this is like PSP, original PSP, not Vita, spin-off Final Fantasy VII game where you play as the dark-haired clone of Cloud, I believe.
Yeah.
I only played it a little bit, and it was 10 years ago, so any details have literally gone from my addled mind, but yes.
Don't do drugs, kids. Yeah, well, I mean, they have been planning it for a long time.
That's an understatement.
Although
this is turning into a Duke Nukem Forever situation.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, I mean, when did they actually?
They've never stated it was coming out, though, as far as I am aware.
Okay, they had announced 2015 or something, but it was like I don't think they had been developed, that long. Saying, I released the game, we need to re-release it and make it better. Because they had obviously the other episodes. Someone mentioned to me this called they posted somewhere. They said, the Final Fantasy VII remake, but what about Final Fantasy VIII? Because obviously not everyone has their own favourites.
Sure. It's weird though. They're trying to cash in on the what's the word? The
nostalgia. That's
it. The nostalgia of 7, right? But now think the average person is 22 years older who played 7. Do they really care?
Well, that's it. I mean, they could just release a proper...
I know there's still a lot of hype, like when Cloud became a playable character in DS Smash Brothers. I think he was like one of the most downloaded characters. But yeah.
Well, company's got to make money,
Does anyone really give a...
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the popular characters, they live on, and I mean, the fact that they are included in things like Smash Brothers, because it's like, well, what other characters are they going to put in? Like Squall, it's like, how popular was that guy?
Isn't he in it? Isn't he in? He's in other games, isn't he? I think he's in Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, well, Kingdom Hearts, they've got dispersed all their properties, so they can have everyone in there. But it's the lesser things. It's like who's going to be, thing. And 7, has the mind share compared to things. I mean, like Final Fantasy XI. Who was the protagonist for Final Fantasy XI? I can't remember.
Final Fantasy XI was online, wasn't it?
No, there's 12. 12 was online, wasn't it? Wait. Because it was either 11 or 12 was online, and then that got dropped, and then 14 was online again.
I think it was 11 and 14.
Yeah,
they
11
skipped 12.
So 12. No,
12 wasn't a thing.
Right, look at that. Final Fantasy 12, and it's like, do you recognise that?
I absolutely do not. Okay, there was a Final Fantasy 12.
No, they didn't. They haven't skipped.
But 11 was online.
Yeah. 11 was still online.
11
yes.
and 14 were online. Was it not, 11 and 14?
Yes, 11 and 14. They've not skipped any,
but they skipped 13, right?
No.
What was 13?
Oh, goodness me! What is it? Are we that senile that?
No, but it's
Final Fantasy 13 is definitely lightning. Yes. Lightning.
Right, it's the woman, yeah.
Yeah, lightning, yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that I seem to remember watching a little bit of footage of, and there was a hell of a lot of talking.
Yeah.
A lot of talking.
Yeah, and obviously 13 got a sequel as well, because they had a sister, which I can't remember her name. Anyway.
But I can't be blamed for games that I don't remember because I didn't play them.
No, that's fine. I didn't remember it. I've not played, like I said, I've only played 14. And I've forgotten what the point I was trying to make was. But the important thing is that 12 is a game. Yes.
But I think... So back in the day...
Yes.
Where I think the popularity really started when it was like Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 4, 5, and then 6 was a big one, as I seem to remember. And then... But it was a different story, it was a different protagonist, it was a different world, but it seems like they're trying to create an IP out of...
But it's the thing, I mean, they have remade all the old Nintendo ones and stuff. They brought them out again, again and again on Game Boy, on mobile. I would assume that after 7 is a success by whatever definition they measure it, then they're going to proceed with doing a remake for number 8 and so forth. And that way they can release multiple Final Fantasy games. Cue eyes rolling.
I'm
probably not.
Remastering games has an inherent problem of, do we keep the brokenness of the original, or do we also patch that out?
But that brings up a thing, is like, if you change things, then the purists complain. But if you leave in elements that are broken or not very well thought out, then the modern people will complain and say,
why wasn't this fixed?
Yeah, why wasn't this fixed?
Mario Maker, that is the one that I was going to say.
Yes, Mario Maker.
They have fixed a ton of, let's call them stupid things.
Little bugs, physics, things that
they have
persist
fixed
in
them.
the old games.
And why not?
Yeah.
But then it's not the same game.
But it's not. It's a reimagining of the elements. I mean, it allows you to play, and I mean, they are fairly close in terms of thing. Obviously, there are certain things like physics and stuff that have been standardized. So, like jump height and things, for the most part, is identical through all the versions. Whereas if you play the games on a console, they are absolutely different in terms of how he floats and how far he can jump and stuff.
Yeah.
But gives a more simplified view, because I mean, it's not like you can't. Nintendo don't offer the games on Virtual Console anyway, so you want to play the original in all its glory, you can do so. But yes, it streamlines the experience and makes it more agreeable for the modern age. But the thing is, I guess it depends on the game, because you take Final Fantasy VII and you say, right, okay, we're going to have the characters, but we're going to change the battle system so it uses Final Fantasy XV's battle system and stuff like that. Well, have it almost real time battles, but you can, pause it for, specials and stuff like that. Would people go, well, this is a lot better than sitting there with a turn-based menu thing where you select fight, run thing, and you sit there and you wait for animations to complete? It's like, do we want this old style gameplay coupled with the new graphics, or do we want this new modern gameplay that we've trended towards and people have shown they like, but using a story that you're familiar with, a chance to replay it and have it better. The thing is, they've not shown proper gameplay. All the stuff has been real time, so we can't get a feel for it. But having said that, some of the combat they've shown has been real time, and it's a case that is it going to be more? Well, more. They didn't show menus popping up and them selecting options. It was, remember the thing where Cloud jumps in and does a slam attack on the ground and stuff. This was shown to be like just happening, and it didn't appear to be a cutscene. It looked to be as part of a battle. And so, unless they did some very clever editing, is it a case that they are going to change the battle system up? But then, when people complain, they say, "Well, we just happen to be. Will we just re-release the original? We'll get people. The purists will just repurchase the original to play on PlayStation 4, and all the people who want the updated version will buy that. And people who want both, we get double the money."
Just on that note, I do not put it past them to edit out certain steps in order to make something happen in a game, as Apple did in their press conference for the iPhone, and how it uses its bokeh technology or whatever the hell they called it, where it has like 3 steps in order to achieve it, and it still looks like garbage. Or for instance, Marvel and the Thor trailer, where he certainly had, and you can go back and watch the trailer, he's got both his eyes when he comes down to the bridge at the end of the movie, which point in the actual movie he only has one eye.
Spoiler alert.
So, yeah. But it's like, yes, I do not doubt that they would make it look better through editing. Who wouldn't? Who doesn't?
But the thing is, it's not like saying people would object to the menus, because they'd see it and they'd go, "Oh, nostalgia, menus, just like the original." Who knows? So make people. Well,
they could just create a whole new game.
Final Fantasy 16.
No.
What do you mean no?
Just a new game that isn't that.
Well, they
have a new idea.
Last idea.
New idea.
Last idea. Have you heard of Last Idea?
No.
This would be a moment where we would pause the podcast and...
or not.
Or we would just talk about it in live. Now, Last Idea is a mobile RPG. So it's...
That sounds awful already.
It's... obviously, if you look at the image for the cover, it's Final Fantasy style, so you've got the thing, but it's it's very Final Fantasy like, but for the mobile era. Let's try and skip through to some gameplay. So this is coming out. Is it coming out? It's coming out soon. And I looked in it. I was like,
turn-based RPGs on mobile are still very big, especially when I was in Japan. Countless people on the train playing. So I think that's kind of progressed onto that rather than Final Fantasy.
Well, that's it. It's because mobile is where it's at, and I mean, repackaging, existing games is fine, but this is the new IP is called Last Idea, and
this is actually Square Enix.
This is Square Enix, and
right, so it's like gesture control style.
No, that's right. Yeah, they got
turn. It seems turn based. Is it turn based?
I think it's turn based.
Is it real time?
I think there's it's like some auto attacking, but you real time on the on specials and stuff.
Trying to make it dynamic, so you're not just sitting there staring at a screen.
So if you want to do it like an AoE attack, you slash across the enemies, and that would perform a particular attack. So a pinch one would do like.
Is this out already?
No, that's. I think it might be out like Japan and not global. So it's like, well, if they're good at a formula, I guess stick to what you're good at.
Sure.
But I mean, I get that. But then again, it's like. It's stuff like they've done Nier Automata. While Square Enix is a publisher, obviously it's a different studio. Yeah. It's not one of their internal studios that does the handling. So that's where the variety comes from. It's like Square Enix published the Tomb Raider games, and it's like, who does the... What is the core design? Is it core design still?
I've lost track with Tomb Raider.
Yeah, it's... I stopped caring 1,000 years ago. And
it's only so many times you can reboot that franchise.
Well, Tomb Raider just...
Because it's on at least the third reboot.
Well, they went back and they said, okay, right, here's the young Lara Croft. This is where she starts out. You know, she's not a fantastic, death machine that can, like, kill things as she backflips through the air 1,000 times.
Like in Tomb Raider 1, where it takes 85 bullets to kill a dog? Sure, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Death machine.
The fact that her guns...
She shouldn't use potato guns. That's the problem.
They have 85 bullets. So they say, okay, we'll introduce this new young Lara and we'll give it, bow and arrow and make it very Hunger Games. But the problem was this Hunger Games injured Lara thing became the default, where the cover for... I can't distinguish all the modern games because they seem to have the same cover of her being, crouching with a bow, being injured, and it's like, where are the tombs in this?
It's kind of where they aimed the film. They did go back to the whole searching for artifacts, Indiana.
Yeah, but it's like
Jones type.
It's straight away. It changed the character, but that just bugged me that it's just like a constant thing. It doesn't look like Last Idea is out global. It looks like it's Japan. Anyway, looked quite interesting, but that's further down the line. Anyway, so yeah, they have other IPs. It really depends on what studio is producing them because some things are more similar than others. But Final Fantasy works for them. It's as with these things, it's like a guarantee. It's like the iPhone. You produce the next model. You've got a guaranteed audience of people who say, "Well, the last thing was good. We want the next thing as well."
Okay. With this in mind, like,
yes,
it's difficult to say that if a studio makes a game and is of substance and quality and good gameplay, blah blah blah, well produced, that all of their games will be like that.
Of course, absolutely not.
And also, it's not. It's also, you can't say that because one game is bad that the other one won't be good, right? So there's no hard.
Yes, past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Exactly, right. Also, because a lot of let's use Bethesda and ID or id as the point here.
It's about Rage 2, isn't it?
Right? Well, it's not solely about Rage 2, but it is about... They have used other outside studios for Rage 2 and last October, I think it was last October, when Wolfenstein 2 came out. Wolfenstein 2, yeah. Right? So they used another studio that they've used before as well. And I think they have used other studios on the previous Wolfenstein games. I think it was Raven Studios, all the way back to Return.
Damage. Yeah, Splash Damage did the multiplayer element for one of the early ones.
Yeah, so I think even go back to Return to Wolfenstein, that was Raven Studios, if I remember correctly. I played the hell out of that. It was a brilliant game. Quake Engine back in the day. And then there was the one in the middle that has sunk without a trace, where you had certain powers.
Yeah, I read about that, and it was like, what happened to
it? Yeah, it was out for sure because I played it, and then it's like looking for it now, even remembering its name is difficult. Either way, but the problem is, can you, to a certain level, obviously they vet what's coming out of the studio.
Yes,
absolutely, right, because it's coming out in their name.
Yeah. You have to QC it and everything.
And I saw the launch trailer for Wolfenstein 2 at, I think it was E3. Who knows what year it was? 2016, probably. And then it said, it's coming out in October. Was it 2016? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And I was like, that looks awesome. Great. Definitely going to buy. ended up getting it pretty much when it came out, and I like the game. Story's fine. The gunplay, for the most part, is okay, but there's a lack of feel, a lack of weight, a lack of... It's hard to describe. Everyone who plays first-person shooters knows what I'm talking about here. It
feels too floaty.
Yeah, there's a lack of...
Physics.
Obviously, there's no feedback. I'm using a mouse and keyboard. I'm not, I'm not carrying a gun through a...
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's not like
Yeah.
VR.
Exactly, right? It's not even not like VR. But either way, it's not that. It's like anyone who's played Apex Legends just says, "Oh, right, okay, this feels great." Immediately, straight off the bat, the guns feel like the guns you're shooting. They have
kickback. They have...
Exactly. There is a way that they work. Like if you're using a heavy machine gun, or if you're using a pistol, or
they have different
a rifle. Yeah, there's definitely something that happens between guns, and you're like, I have an understanding of how this gun is going to work in combat, and it performs in such a fashion. Wolfenstein was less so. Also, an hour into gameplay, I think it was roughly something like that. You get a rifle that you can basically shoot, kill anyone with. You get loads of ammo through the game for this rifle. You could practically use it the whole time. You don't need to aim down sights to be 100% efficient with it.
Homing bullets.
It is ridiculously overpowered for what it is.
That's what people want.
So I found myself playing with the pistol just to give myself a bit more of a challenge or a bit more fun. Otherwise, it was very sterile.
#GodGamer.
No, not even. It was just...
It's just like,
it was
this
just
is too easy. I need to make...
It was very sterile. It didn't feel...
satisfactory.
Great in that respect. The shotgun was okay, but it, going back to even like Doom 3 or the modern Doom, the shotgun was very satisfying.
I love the modern Doom, man.
It had impact when you're exactly, when you're using it, you feel there is a weight behind the gun. It has impact. It has, there is something there. None of the guns really had that in Wolfenstein. And then, 6 months ago, whenever it was, they dropped the trailer for Rage 2, and it was like, wow, maybe it was E3 even. Maybe it was all the way back, that's almost a year ago.
I think it might have been E3.
Yeah, I guess it was, like, literally just before E3, and then they showed a little bit. And so that was almost a year ago now. And it looked great. Like, the trailer looked good. The environment looked good. They were talking about being open world, which brings an interesting prospect to how you're going to play the game and possibly replay the game.
Yeah.
And I didn't play Rage 1 because of a few factors, and I was playing other things at the time, so it wasn't like it was a... Do I devote my time to this game or not? And it doesn't seem...
It did not win that battle.
Exactly. It was the Dark Souls Skyrim type battle.
Those time sinks. You don't have, there's not enough hours in the day otherwise.
Well, Dark Souls 1 on the console and Skyrim came out in the same, same bracket of time.
Yeah.
And I went Dark Souls, and so have never played Skyrim.
Skyrim. Do you have Skyrim? Is this good? So you didn't get Skyrim? Okay.
No. I have resisted.
Some people say, well,
some people have got their heads in their hands,
and they get both, and they say, well, I'll play this one first, and the other one never gets played. They own it, but they don't play it.
Yeah, it's
as long as you're not one of those, because
I just don't have it on any format.
Okay.
It's on almost every format at this point.
Will you ever consider going back to it, or is it too late now?
I think it's too dated. I don't want to say it's too dated, but it kind of feels like it's too dated.
It's like a film that's been spoiled. You know how it ends. You pretty much, there's no real need to go back to it.
Also, it is, for want of a better phrase, it might be an enjoyable one, but it is a time sink.
No, that's it. I mean, time sinks are something you invest your time in. So It's not. We don't write them off as trivial. I mean,
No.
you wouldn't sink your time into something that's just not fun. That's not a time sink.
But so Rage kind of had, like, I thought the initial trailer, great. Everything I've seen, great. The vehicles look pretty good. The guns, even the powers, from what I've seen, okay. Then I saw some gameplay footage. I don't think we're going to have any gameplay footage, but we'll try. For the video portion of this podcast. I do try to fill it with relevant footage of what we're talking about at the time. So
if not, we'll just flash the logo statically. You'll love it. You might want to
bear with us while we get the necessary permissions to do so.
Licensing.
Which we are working on. But, yeah, so it looks great. And then when I saw actual gameplay that wasn't cut together to look, like a salacious reel of awesomeness.
The one that came out of QuakeCon was... I liked that trailer. I looked and I was like, ooh.
But I've seen gameplay, actual, just raw, unedited footage of gameplay.
God, okay.
It is... No. Even PC stuff I've seen. And it does not...
You think it will lack that weight?
Yes. I think it has... It might suffer from the same problem. And it's hard to quantify. But
I think the problem is you can't really tell until you get your hands on it. But the thing is, it's id. So, and id no shotgun. They know shotguns. They can't let us down.
They have farmed it out to another studio.
Is Rage 2 done by?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And I'm not saying the studio isn't competent, and that's nothing to do with nothing. I'm not ragging on their ability to make a game. I'm just saying I am now feeling intrepid about going forward with Rage 2 because it may have that, for me personally, that level of dissatisfaction.
Out May 14.
Yes, so I am feeling a little less hyped about the Rage 2 thing.
I hope they release a demo. I would like to even...
They will not release a demo.
God!
Nobody releases demos anymore.
I know they don't release demos.
Before the Anthem demo, I can't remember the last time I saw a game that had a demo. In terms of demos and betas and things, I could name 20.
I know.
There's an action RPG that I purchased probably 2 years ago, maybe even longer. Actually, probably longer than 2 years ago, called Wolfen, or I forget the name.
Wolfenstein. Please bear us while we internet things.
No, Wolfen Lords of Mayhem. I've still got the
Icon.
executable on my desktop, which I periodically update and play the latest iteration of, and it is so unfinished after 2 years. And 2 years ago was its alpha. I think it was in alpha when I got it from Steam. And I think it went into beta, I believe it did, and they added a bunch of stuff. But it's so incomplete, and it's
how small is the studio?
I've never looked into it to any great degree. I was kind of a mind that it had promise. I'll get in, see what it's all about. I wanted to make some content on it, but there's so little in the game to diversify
one episode
from any content that's already out there that I thought, okay, I will have to sit on this. And I'm happily sitting on it.
And
but
when it gets released, you're going to be in there.
But I would like it to be finished. Obviously, everyone wants it to be finished, but I would like it to be at a state where somebody can play through the whole game and say, right, okay, cool.
Yeah, you want it to be as close to a complete experience as possible.
Certainly, and I'm an investor at this point.
Yeah.
As is everyone else who's bought in at the alpha and beta stage and paid for the game. And I don't mind waiting for a good game, because there's certainly potential there, but it's just when that is actually going to be realised.
Yeah. you want the PCs to become extinct before the game gets released. It's now going to come out on mobile. So, Rage 2 then. It's you want to wait and see? I mean,
well, they've got a roadmap which is kind of weird. They've got
for a game that's being released, they've got a roadmap. What?
No, but they've got like
was it expansion packs or something? Or what?
So it's got May as the release date, and then this is like an official thing that comes out, like has been released to the press and general public.
Sure.
Where in June it will have a 30-day patch. We expect problems
for all the release
after
bugs,
30 days. We're going to patch it.
This is a feature. The patch is a feature. Incidentally, Bethesda, send us a review copy. We'll give it as many thumbs up as you want us to.
So they've got a Wasteland challenge mode, weapon skins, and new cheat codes. It says, and they're also hosting an event in June. This is like Rage 2 calendar for the next few months. They've actually got events going on.
It's like, okay, so I'm bringing it up here. This will be up on the screen for all the viewers at home. If you're listening to audio only, just hammer the play button and it should display the image. Right. Well, it's free content, so if they're throwing additional stuff, it's like how many games have been released and then 2 years down the line you get a DLC that you have to pay 50% of the price for.
Oh yeah, I mean this roadmap actually says August expansion, Rise of the Ghosts expansion, and that's an expansion to the game.
Mutant Derby.
And then it says fall, which is autumn to everybody else. Expansion 2. So
Rageisode.
And that
Rageisode 2.
New weapons, story elements, abilities, vehicles, the whole, everything you'd expect from expansion.
Yeah.
And it is with the title that it is free. So
that's good support.
It's good support and it's value for money. To anyone who is thinking jumping in straight away, and
we can only hope they throw in. I mean, it's just annoying that companies don't do demos or something. I mean, it's not like you can't throw. I mean, if it's an open world thing, then it becomes harder because you say, well, where do you throw in hard barriers, and then you've got to stuff. But you could just, because then people say, oh, they walked to the edge, up to a certain thing, and then they fell through the map because the floor tiles don't register collision or whatever. And people say, oh, this game is terrible because I ventured, outside the boundaries and stuff.
Yeah, I think demos definitely have inherent bugs because they're trying to curtail what you can see, what you can do.
Yeah, it'll just give you a taste of it.
And it will just give you a game-breaking moment.
But I mean, yeah, because it's, id for the longest time have always had demos and stuff. I even remember the first Wolfenstein, when they had the demo was the multiplayer, the beach siege thing. I don't know if you ever played that. It was
when you say the first Wolfenstein,
not the first Wolfenstein 3D,
right?
Thing, and it was a multiplayer map. So you had you had to either come up the beach or defend against the people, the soldiers invading, and it was just like I remember playing that for a number of times, even though I was like, it wasn't the game itself.
Sure.
But it gave you a taste for
mechanics,
feel, physics and stuff like that.
Sure.
And they've developed a history of that, and it's just. Having said that, they had even the Dooms. They had demos for, didn't they? Some of the Doom games.
No.
I'm trying to remember now.
Not Doom 3.
No Doom 3. Yes.
No. Bought a release day, but played no demo. They had a few sizzle reels out there, but no demos.
Wow. Okay. So I guess I've not played first-person shooters for a while.
But it's kind of weird because I used to play them all the time, and then it kind of became not my primary game.
Well, I play a hell of a lot less games these days, purely because there's just only so much time in the day. Saving all my time for Diablo Immortal. My phone is ready.
Your phone is ready. Buy a new phone. This phone cannot support this application.
Like 1 frame a second. I am not upgrading. Tap 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 tap. Come on, spam power attacks.
You have been dead for 5 minutes.
Okay, so let's wrap up. Rage 2. So you're not looking forward to it?
No, I am looking forward to it being better than my current expectation of my deluded, unhappy, salty memories of playing Wolfenstein 2. Even though I still like the game, I like it less than I wanted to like it.
But as you mentioned, since you're not into the FPS this much more, is this something that you would, if the footage you watched had good weighty physics, would it be something that you'd say, maybe I'll try this? Or buy it?
Well, I already was on.
It was already on your
I
watch list.
I was already in the camp that one day I'm going to own this game.
Okay.
But I have moved from that camp to I'm going to keep watching this game
to see
if I have proven right and I should buy it, or proven right that I should not buy it. Because I've had both thoughts.
Okay, Bethesda, it's your chance to prove him wrong.
It's not down to Bethesda. It's me, because they can make a game, but just because it's not my thing,
it means you won't play it.
It doesn't mean that they've done it wrong.
Yeah.
It means that it doesn't appeal to me.
Sure. Okay.
Like everything we say in this podcast, the overriding factor is that we have an opinion on things.
Absolutely.
And it is not a cold, hard fact, and anyone that does take it that way, maybe don't.
Please stop listening.
No, not at all. Don't stop listening.
No, remain subscribed, like all our podcasts, but just don't listen to them. Go away.
It is the case that everyone has an opinion, and you're not going to agree with everyone all the time.
No.
And it's like a game like where I said having X, Y, and Z in a game, I still, in a first-person game about weighty weapons and non-weighty weapons, Fallout 4, as an example, is not a superb first-person shooter. It does not have the engine of a first-person shooter. Really doesn't. Just doesn't.
Yeah.
But the guns feel okay. Some of them feel better than others. But the game is still great, in my opinion. Overall, as a whole concept, it has enough to keep me liking the game. And to a certain degree, playing the game. But there are others where they fail for me because they say they're a thing and then they do it in a way that I do not appreciate.
Yeah. But that's it. If it's not satisfying to play, why are you forcing yourself to play it?
Exactly. And there are more examples of that than there aren't. I would love to be more positive about games because I like playing them so much. But it's hard.
It's hard. They make it hard for us.
Well, you can't like everything, and like most mobile games, I'm just less interested than I would be if it was a console.
I've tried
PC
a number
game.
of mobile games, and some have lasted mere minutes on my device before a swift "no, thank you" deletes.
Sure.
Or "thank you" next.
Sure.
As Ariana Grande may say. Right. So let's wrap it up. Thank you very much for listening to our podcast. Please like and subscribe, or click on whatever button that implements your attachment to us. We will be back in a short while for episode 3, which we have no idea what we're going to talk about, but whenever we ever.
If you want us to talk about something in particular, put it in the comments.
Put it in the comments. We will see it like months later. The thoughts
we will see it seconds after you put it in the comments.
Yes, but we'll talk about it months later. And that's the important thing, that we're very, very slow. So, thank you very much. And don't forget to click on the like and subscribe orb. And he's going to cut me off. Goodbye.
Goodbye.